Welcome, one and all, to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast here, folks. We are here, folks, with our Backlash review. Let's make sure that you are getting the sweet, beautiful summer sounds. Yes, you are getting the sweet, soft, beautiful summer sounds that are my voice right here at the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast. Now, folks, you should be sharing, subscribing right here. Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast on YouTube, Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast on Spotify, RevRes Pod on Twitch, RevRes Pod on Twitter, folks. So you can get all of the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast content right here. But I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your King of Extreme, Phil KOE, the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that makes the other podcast cower, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, the Lord of the Scottish Highlands, and one damn handsome man, if I do say so myself. And I am joined this evening by my indomitable broadcast partner, the one, the only.
I'm merely, I'm just Tony G. Look,
just a simple man.
Just a simple man, living this life, getting through it the best I can. But sometimes the days are hard, folks. But let's be frank.
And then sometimes,
once in a while.
Once in a great
the stars align, the planets turn.
Right,
they just sequential, everything. The auras, the third eye's open. The chakras are good. The feng shui is in place.
The magic's in the air.
The magic's in the air, exactly. And you find that one song you heard 10 years ago that you haven't heard in a long time, and you couldn't even remember the name of it, but it pops up on the radio right at the beginning. You're able to soundhound that bitch and get it added to your playlist without missing it. That kind of time, that kind of perfection, that kind of lining up, the universe gives you a win. And folks,
a victory.
A victory indeed. And on
for whom?
May the 8th, 2022, just that happened, folks. Just that happened. And a long overdue injustice, well, a wrong was righted. And Tony fucking G became
12-time Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion. Yes, he raises the belt high this evening, folks. We have a new Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion in one Tony fucking G. He recovered the belt this evening. Wrestlemania Backlash. That rapscallion ne'er-do-well chicken was not able to count cards and win the belt tonight because Tony G reigns supreme. And he brings the belt back to Nebraska. Folks,
drink it in, man.
And the final scores are Chicken with 3 points. Your King of Extreme,
a humble 4,
with 4 points. Yes. Second place. And the one, the only, Tony fucking G, 5 points.
Almost called a perfect night.
Almost, except the main event.
The main event did hurt me.
Well, I needed that point, so it was basically, it's like Dale Gribble says about Hank Hill when they were in a lawnmower race. Well, if I can't win the race, I can at least beat Hank. And that's better than winning.
I'll give you that,
And
Phil.
So I beat Chicken. That's almost better than winning.
You did. You beat Chicken tonight. It was a clear-cut, decisive victory for myself. It was in hand before the main event. So, Phil, besting Chicken in the main event. Really, is there a better way we can cap off what was a better show than it deserved to be? What you got to
understand, folks, is what happened here is because it was so last minute, and this happened on Mother's Day. This is not ideal.
That it did.
Okay? We've all got mothers in our lives.
Yeah, ain't nobody watching us right now, but it is what it is.
Oh, trust me, Tony. The internet's a big place. Trust me, there are some beautiful people out there right now watching us. But yes, if you go back and watch the WrestleMania preview, Chicken wasn't even trying to predict matches. He was just trying to count the cards. And so because this was so last minute, we all just sent in. I just came live earlier and just started stammering and babbling what I thought would happen just so Chicken wouldn't be able to deny me my title shot. And if it wasn't for this guy right here having a near perfect night, I probably would have walked away champion. So well done, T. Well done. But yes, Chicken, you know good. Rapscallion ne'er-do-well. You have been defeated this evening, but
this is a sight. This is a sight that the fans of the olden days of the RWP, you're probably pretty homesick for seeing Tony fucking G with the belt next to Phil KOE, and that son of a bitch Chicken just nowhere to be seen, licking his wounds, couldn't even best Phil tonight.
This does kind of feel like the Attitude Era of the Revolutionary Wrestling podcast, you know? Like so I'll be honest, during that, well, no, it'd almost be more like the Hogan era because there was just
that's true.
The main event was kind of wasn't really crowded, but there wasn't really any seats for anybody else. During the Hogan era.
That is also true, but it was only possible because once again WWE went ahead and actually had an event that wasn't terrible,
and it wasn't 12 hours long.
It wasn't 12 hours long, even though the name WrestleMania was in the title.
We all had the opener guess. And Tony and Chicken both went with Madcap versus Happy Corbin. I went with Bobby Lashley versus Omos, and we were all so close. We were almost there.
Yeah, and you were picking up on what I was throwing down during the predictions because I'm like, I could hedge my bets here and pick Madcap Moss versus Corbin to be both the opener and the lead into the main, and it was eventually the lead into the main.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and like I did mention that I could do the same thing with Bobby, but I didn't. But
I was feeling that too.
Now
but
what
I didn't.
Did open it was Seth versus Cody, and this hurt Chicken. He took Seth Rollins. That was when the minute I heard that, I was like, "Oh,
it's going to be a rough night for Chicken because that is a big hole to climb out of right out of the gate."
Yep.
Again,
and that was the opener.
I mentioned this on the prediction show. They love their 50-50 booking in WWE, but you just can't stop the run this early if this is going to lead what we expect. Roman versus Cody, you just can't beat him here.
Now, what did you give this?
First and foremost, this was. Again, your 12-time champion said this on the prediction show. All the miscues they had at their WrestleMania match, gone here tonight. They hammered out a just flawless performance. This was perfect. This was believable. Everything made sense. Even the ridiculous Falcon Arrow, or the superplexing of the Falcon Arrow, everything worked. Everything was believable. There wasn't anything that you had to suspend your disbelief.
Superplex into the Falcon Arrow, which I like to call the following a shooting with a stabbing.
Yeah,
you don't need it. But
and they made sure to make everything make sense, and they protected moves when they needed to be protected. Like Cody did hit 2 or 3 crossroads.
Yeah,
but it didn't matter the way they made this match flow work. Even everything down to the chops looked like it made sense. They weren't just blatantly trading them for the sake of trading them. They were in a fight. They looked like they both were desiring a victory here. This was storytelling. It was perfect. I loved it. I gave this 4 stars. I thought it was fantastic. At the very end, Seth went for a roll-up pin, grabs the tights on Cody. Cody manages to reverse it into a roll-up pin of his own, grabs Seth tights, gets the 1, 2, 3. So
the tights.
With that being said, you got to assume that this is probably the end of it. I'm hoping Seth can move on to something and get a win. But if they turn this into a trilogy and Seth manages to lose all 3, that's bad.
I know what Seth moves on to.
Please, something else.
Madcap Moss.
Please, something else. But honestly...
So what did you give this?
I gave this 4 stars. I really, really, really liked it.
Now, on
really
a
good
5-star scale, I was a little more generous than you, and I gave it, 10 to a 10, man. Phil KOE, Cody Rhodes, 2024. That's why I give this match 5.85 stars. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. I couldn't resist. No, I'm going to give this 4.25.
All right, that's fair.
I really enjoyed this match.
This was classic wrestling.
It was, yeah, and it's funny. Like, they had a wrestling. Now, for a while, it was all about him dropping on his back and trying to throw the punch. I'm like, is Cody trying to structure a whole match around his little drop punch thing?
Yes,
and he almost did.
He almost did.
So
it was really good. Like this is the Cody Rhodes that should have been in AEW. Not in his own fucking way, convoluting every damn match with Brandy and Arn, Dustin and MJF and Brandy again. And now I've got to bleed. Now I've got to light myself on fire. Now Brandy again. Now I got to get whipped by a chain. Now I got to incorporate the... This is Cody Rhodes doing wrestling without getting in his own fucking way and tripping over his own dick on the way to the finish. This is the best Cody Rhodes. This is Cody Rhodes as I wanted to see him in AEW. Who knew he had to go to WWE to become that fucking guy? Not me. I was dead wrong on that shit.
As much as I hate to say, like, there is something to that. When it was just Cody with Arn, that was one thing. But then when it became Cody World Order, it got a little crowded.
And you can go back and you can watch this channel. You can listen to the Spotify, Apple Podcast, whatever. I said that shit from the get-go. The guy gets in his own way. He overthinks everything. He overbooks every one of his matches. Now that it's just Cody and he's the focal point and he's allowed himself to be the focal point, wouldn't you know who won the pony? He actually looks like a fucking star. And it's not the crowd turning on him because he's so far up his own ass. They can get past the neck tattoo for just a little bit.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, the neck tattoo. That was when everything
That was when they turned on him.
All right. So what was the next match? Was it AJ or was it Bobby?
No, it was the Bobby Omos match-ish. I believe.
Yes, almost stumbled around the ring.
I'll be frank. This was light years better than their WrestleMania match.
Jesus. Yeah, we're grading on a curve, but all right, Tony, I'm going to push you into this microphone at the speed that almost pushed. Oh.
Wait, you're going too fast.
Yeah, okay. There we go. That's like that.
Same impact.
Huge, like
no, I'll be
almost frank. Is big motherfucker and he's intimidating, but honestly, there was a 6-man tag match tonight and almost wasn't in it.
Yeah, see
that. That's what he needs. He needs. If anybody, he needs a faction to protect him.
You could definitely make that point. Like this would be a good jumping off point. Like put Omos in the new Hurt business, right? Like he's not the guy. But he's the muscle for the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, like this was light years better than the WrestleMania match.
Remember how big Sally Graziano got over in ECW? He was just a big guy that chokeslammed people. That was it. And he got over like you wouldn't believe because he was protected. Yes, and almost could be huge.
The best part about this was it was the battle for trying to get their best spot and best move. That was a much better story than them actually trying to have a match. Like when Bobby locks him in the Hurt Lock and he gets backed up into the corner to break it. Like that was the part where, okay, I can see what they're trying to go for here and it's almost working. It's still almost. MVP getting involved as expected. Costs Bobby Lashley the win here. Almost kind of does the double choke slam hand, whatever the fuck it is. 1, 2, 3.
Bobby jumps up really high because he's got a great vertical, and then does a flat back bump by himself. And
precisely,
almost his hands were in the general vicinity of his neck when he did it.
Exactly.
So that was the finish.
Yeah. It was what it was. Like grading on a curve, I gave it
2.25.
I gave it 3 because it could have been so much worse. It should have been so much worse.
Wow. Well done, Bobby.
Just saying.
And then next was, I believe, was it AJ? I
believe it was.
Yes, AJ versus Edge. And this one, I really needed AJ to win. And that was an unfortunate choice to have. Now, immediately, everybody was thinking it was going to be Tommaso Ciampa.
I called that on the pre-show.
And the minute I saw the masked person, I was like, well, whoever this masked person has really sexy legs. So I don't think it's going to, unless Tommaso Ciampa has really been.
Let's not beat around the bush. Ciampa's got some sexy ass thighs, all right?
Not that sexy, though. So I was thinking, okay.
Phil?
Somehow I'm getting a slight feminine energy here. And I was thinking there might be.
You did call it.
A female under the hood there. And it turns out to be Rhea Ripley. So she's part of this new
let's not
Judgment Day, which they're going to be feuding with either Armageddon, No Way Out, or maybe Great Balls of Fire, whichever faction is.
Yeah.
Like,
whatever they're not using for pay-per-views anymore. Jay Volk, wow, one person is watching. Hey, you, thanks, appreciate it.
But we're also
you can also listen on Spotify, Apple, Google, all the other.
We're also
podcasts.
on multiple
Anchor.
platforms at the moment. But
thanks
what
for
you
joining.
also got to understand,
ask
Jay
a
Volk,
question. We'll talk to you.
Is that us here? We're such a high-level techie podcast that if you see like one view, it's actually being a watch party that's just got tens of thousands of people in it. So like 3 views, we're like probably like touching actually hundreds of thousands of people. So like people, they have no idea just the incredible reach of the KOE Nation.
Looks
and
like
the
he's on one of the YouTube channels, so he's the one person watching on that YouTube channel. Cool. It's gonna be lonely in your chat. Move over to Facebook at Big Buck and Empire.
Yep.
You'll be a little more entertained. There you go.
Yep. There's
Edge and AJ. This was actually a pretty good match, but we knew it was gonna be not an honest finish.
I gave it 3.25 because the wrong person won.
I'll give it. I'll give it 3.5. But honestly, at this point, you're beating
the hands on vacation.
You're beating AJ Styles twice in a row now. Like this guy can't catch a fucking break. I want to see AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes, but I don't want to see AJ Styles lose 3 pay-per-view matches in a frickin' row at this point. So, and Cody's on his way up. AJ's on his way out. Well, maybe out. Who knows? Like, really?
He did say this is his last contract.
No, that was a contract ago. He signed another one.
So, he's already stuck around longer than he wanted to.
Exactly.
And so, at this point, it's just, 10 man, you beautiful philosopher king.
He's on one of the other YouTube channels. All right. So, I don't know. I'd really like to. I don't want to see AJ Styles and Edge again. Like, this was a fine enough ending. You made Edge look like enough of a force. He's got his stable. He's got his group. He needs the group to win, but he's still winning.
Honestly, I think add almost to that group.
Oh, God. No.
No, he's perfect. They need the muscle.
The feng shui wouldn't be there. This is the House of Black ripoff.
I know,
and it's better than the House of Black.
I know it really kind of leaves Damian Priest kind of hung out to dry, but almost needs a faction that's legitimate. Yeah. And they had it with AJ, but then they broke him up way too fast. But to say that was not quite as organic as RK Bro might be a little bit of an understatement. Like, that was AJ like, all right, kid, I will wrestle around you.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens. So that was interesting match. Then we got to Flair versus Rousey.
This was light years better than their WrestleMania match, but it couldn't have been worse because that was terrible. I was not looking forward to this because I was so disappointed.
I liked the ending a lot. Like, I like some of the spots
I enjoyed the match, but their WrestleMania match just disappointed me so blatantly that I wasn't even looking forward to this. I'll be frank. But it definitely was better, just tenfold, because they had a better chemistry this time out. And they were able to protect Ronda's weaknesses.
Yes. Now, Tony, I do have to say that I've spent some time studying Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I got a feeling that Ronda Rousey has too.
That's a funny fact. She happens to
know
mixed martial arts.
What I find is fascinating is here. I'm going to borrow your arm for a second.
Okay.
When she hits her finish, when she's just about to get it, she's doing this motion, which
hurts. Yeah, you do that. It's
full promotion of an armbar.
Yeah, you can tap somebody out that way.
I've got the lever here.
Yeah.
And I'm applying pressure there.
Yeah, that would hurt.
Then, you see, Tony, apparently what I've never learned in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
You missed this day, apparently. Okay.
Yeah, apparently to really cinch in that submission and to really just end it, and they will just be, is to...
Oh, God!
Yeah, oh, God. So I guess now I'm the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast.
I didn't say it.
Hang on. What?
I'll put back into place.
Oh, there you go. But so apparently bending the arm like that. Oh, God, that does hurt. Jesus.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I
brutal.
Think just having her do a plain old arm bar should probably be what she does. But at the same time, I can understand why somebody that's not trained to fight at all would be absolutely fucking terrified of one of the greatest armbar artists in all God's creation. Yeah, just give me your arm. I'll take care of you, kid.
There's that.
Like,
so look, this thing was fine, but they went to the old school. Well, Jesus, old school. I'm saying that now. They went to the Rock Mankind I Quit stipulation where they're using the microphone. This isn't a submission match.
We all remember Bob Backlund versus Bret Hart with Roddy Piper with the microphone making it all about himself. I mean, like that was a very inspirational moment for me growing up as a child. Was that I Quit match, was seeing some loud, verbose, obnoxious dude make something totally not about him, completely about himself. And I was just deeply inspired.
That's fair, but that's the old school. That's the old school portion of it. It was innovated by The Rock and Mankind. And if you ask anybody who remembers anything, that's what they're going to remember. And the fucky at the end, but another great fucking classic finish. But this one didn't have that. This one actually had a couple of really good spots where they could have gone home, but they didn't. When Ronda had Charlotte upside down, tangled on the ring post.
That should have been it.
That I thought was going to be it. And when that wasn't, I'm like, holy shit. Charlotte may actually pull this one out.
This was another one. Chicken went way off. He said Flair was going to win this. Me and Tony both had Ronda just because I was thinking, it's going to be Ronda.
So when they finally got back into the ring and Charlotte gets Ronda into the figure 8, but there's a chair right there. The ref is asking her with the mic, do you quit? Never, fuck this. Hits her with the chair, breaks the figure 8. Ronda eventually gets back to her hands and knees, and Charlotte pulls the chair out, gets it open, and says, by the way, happy Mother's Day, bitch. And Ronda pulls her arm through the chair, flips her over, gets the arm bar on the chair.
Through the chair.
Then
she had the arm bar through the chair, but then made it truly devastating when she...
Not again! Oh, God! Not again!
Okay, I'm going to set it back.
Thanks.
So...
God.
Now, actually, before we move, it's just one thing I wanted to mention.
No, it was a good finish to this match. I really enjoyed it.
Best I Quit match referee of all time, Ken Shamrock.
Yeah.
He didn't have the mic in his face. He was like very authoritative, and I'll never forget Ken Shamrock going, Steve, do you give up? Like he was just really
it was perfect.
Like, so I think like that was his like
that was perfect.
And after that, they realized, okay, this guy gets what we're doing. He can work. Like, bring him in. Like, and so in my opinion,
I don't know if he was working, if he really was insane at that point.
Let's go 50-50. Like it was a bit of a. Actually, when you listen to his pro wrestling interviews, he comes off as a lot more chill, a lot more real than you'd think.
Well, the bar's pretty high, so it'd be hard to come any more intense.
True, there's that.
No, this was the right ending. This was the right way to go about it. And Charlotte probably aged into this match herself and made herself look like $1 million even in defeat, because it took multiple situations where most people would have tapped out or given up, but it took 3 or 4 for Charlotte to finally give in and lose. So she still looked pretty strong in defeat, and it does give her another chance to reclaim the belt and put another notch on the title reign chase to 16, which she's getting pretty fucking close. I think she was at 13, if I'm recalling correctly.
I think a dozen was the last I heard, but I could be wrong. Let us know in the comments. But now, so Tony,
I gave this one 3.5. I actually had fun with it.
I gave it 3. It was decent, but
again, Tony, the bar was low coming off.
There's 2 matches left: Team Drew K. Bro versus the Bloodline, or Happy Corbin versus Mad Cat. Which one was the one that came next?
God, I don't remember. I feel like Corbin was probably the main event. Yeah, Jesus, God. A match that didn't need to happen. This was the piss break.
Would that sell a house show ticket?
No, it wouldn't. Happy Corbin
as the main event, like, of something? Would that show like a house show?
Phil, I'm not even going to fucking...
Jesus.
Phil, I'm not going to beat around the bush on this. Like, we barely watched this match, all right?
Yeah, that's true. We made... the Dalmore Forever bottle video during that match. Now, we were watching it, but we were, having fun.
Which, those of you who are not familiar, you really do need to go real quick. Right here. I think it's right here. Yeah, right there. But,
yes. You can go see that over at KOE Nation on YouTube, where that video is going to be dropping before too terribly long, because Tony sent me an Irish Whiskey Forever bottle video. Chicken just sent me a Bourbon Forever bottle. Ooh. And now I have a Scotch Forever bottle video, which is going to be a one of a kind, because there is over a dozen different whiskeys of varying caskings of different, just of every different kind. Yet Indeed. It is still a Highland single malt, for this is a blend forever bottle of the Dalmore. But
so if you've got any whiskey questions as well as wrestling questions, hit us up in the comments before we finish this up.
But yeah, so
like, share, subscribe.
Oh yes, be sure to like, share, subscribe right here to Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, because you know it's the right thing to do. But now we move on to Madcap versus Happy. I gave it 2 stars because that's about what it deserves.
There was a really nice spot where Corbin had Moss kind of on the guardrail, head resting really awkwardly on the guardrail, dropping like bows and forearms. I'm like, damn, that looked pretty good. Again, you're going to get a solid 3 out of Corbin. And that's what I'm going to give this, a solid 3, because there was nothing wrong with this match. There was nothing unsafe. Everything made sense. Everything went pretty seamlessly. Like, Corbin knows how to give you a serviceable wrestling, believable contest. Like, it's not going to be stupid and silly to the point where you are disgusted with it, but it's not going to be a main event by any means. So he's really good in this role, and that's why he's in this spot. It wasn't mind-blowing. It was never meant to be. He gets other people over. It's unfortunate for him because at one time they really did think he was going to be a main eventer. That ship has sailed, unfortunately, and this is his role.
This match, actually, Dalmore Forever bottle, stunning and brave.
Indeed.
Yes, I mean that is the most stunning and brave thing imaginable. But in regards to this match, I'm reminded of an old British pop hit. I don't care. I love it. Yeah, so we move on.
All right.
I did not give 2 shits of a fuck about this match.
Yeah, no, let's go to the main event.
But Baron Corbin is the reason why that belt made it into WWE canon, so I can't begrudge the guy too much.
That's true.
So, and it was Roman Reigns too. It was the undisputed champion that got this belt onto the feed of WWE Royal Rumble 2020. So that belt right there, folks.
Go look it up on the Peacock. You'll see it after Roman Reigns beats Baron Corbin. Yep. You'll see one Phil KOE.
And so I got it on the feed just barely. I mean, we had one giant dude in front of us, so I don't know how we did it, but we did.
Luckily, you're tall.
He was like, this dude was like 6'7", okay? Like, he was big, yes, he was a big some bitch. Luckily, it kind of goes down. So
thanks for sitting in front of him so I could actually see.
Yeah. But so that was quite the evening.
And strangely, most of the people involved in the main event tonight were involved in that fucking match. So we move along to the Bloodline, Roman Reigns and the Usos.
That way.
Yeah.
Now, Riddle had all 8 seconds in that match. But this is what I like to call Team Drew K. Bro versus the Bloodline. And I said, now Tony and Chicken were like, dude, did you see how they were booked on Raw and how all the things and then the SmackDown and how all the things came together and the things that happened and all the stuff and things? And I said, one of the teams has all the belts.
You're right, Phil, except you don't take one thing into consideration. They don't actually have all the belts. One of them is right here with Tony fucking G, who called all the other matches correctly except for this one and still walked away the champion.
You better watch out.
Which is why I called this one differently.
Before this podcast ends, we get and it's Roman Reigns, and he spears your ass for the belt.
Look, I honestly, unless they're actually going to pull the trigger, which they're not going to, folks, they're not going to, unless they're going to actually pull the trigger on Drew McIntyre beating Roman Reigns for the belt, they're not going to.
They're not.
I really expected it to make way more sense for Drew McIntyre to hit the Claymore kick on Jimmy or Jay, get the pin. They have the stare down, Drew and Roman, and that leads in to Hell in a Cell, the main event. Probably a fucking Hell in a Cell because we totally bastardized that stipulation for no fucking reason, with no fucking build. But no.
Hell in a Cell, I thought that was the next faction that was going to feud against Edge's
with Edge,
Judgment
yeah,
Day.
and AJ, yeah, that makes sense. But no, honestly, this wasn't bad. It took a little while to get going. Honestly, like the first half of this,
the second half was great.
The second half, 3 different gears ahead. Like this sat in idle for a little bit in the beginning, took forever to get going. It sat in first, second gear, and then it went to fucking overdrive halfway
By
through.
the time Randy Orton countered the spear into an RKO,
Jesus.
everybody was just like, if you were at home, you were captivated. If you were in the audience, they were clearly on their feet. And so this was...
It's a 6-man tag, and it's hard to get people to give a shit because that's the thing. When you start with a 6-man tag, it can't be a car crash. It has to make sense. It has to abide by the rules for a little while, and that's why it's so slow to start because you've got so many people involved. But
no wonder you're an AEW snob.
Because I'm right. At least Paul Heyman was on the outside of the fucking ring going, I love you! Don't tag in! Don't tag in! It was beautiful. Paul
is just worth his weight. Like, oh, and by the way, Hollywood, you fucked up in the last Batman movie where you cast the wrong guy to play the Penguin. I'm sure the guy that does it, great guy, but you needed to cast Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
He would have been the fucking perfect
Penguin. Just make the movie The Penguin and just have Paul Heyman. He doesn't even need to go up against Batman. Batman doesn't even have to be in the fucking movie. All right?
True.
Just Paul Heyman, Penguin. But yeah, this was actually pretty good. By the time Randy Orton finally got the hot tag, an actual hot tag, and he was hitting the fucking body slams out of nowhere, and you finally started seeing him like on fire. Like this is some of the best Randy Orton we've ever seen. And who knew it was going to be tagging with Matt Riddle for 2 fucking years to get this out of him? But hey, here we are. He was in a pretty good zone. Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns, when they finally faced off, they had a really good chemistry going, as they always have, but it looked legitimate. And Drew looks so, even against Roman Reigns, who's a big, nasty-looking son of a bitch, Drew McIntyre is just scary to look at. He's taller, he's bigger, he's hairier. He is a scary fucking dude. I wish he was still a heel, I really do. But everything about this made sense.
The audience kind of turned him.
Granted. They said, no, we love this guy. So when we finally got to the outside and Randy was neutralized, then we ended up back in the ring. Riddle finally gets in and starts really flowing well with the Usos, both of them. And at that point...
I was about to say, this is some of the best I've seen out of Riddle tonight.
Absolutely. He was on point.
A lot of people love Riddle. I see him as... Honestly, this is going to be kind of a big criticism, but up until this point... I kind of put him in the box of not in terms of like his greatness, but in terms of his style of like Hulk Hogan, Mil Mascaras. You have the Mil Mascaras match. You have to basically accommodate to the things Mil Mascaras wants to do. And those get Mil Mascaras over. And that's the match you're going to have. And now Riddle's starting to break out of that because he had that kind of, you have to have the Matt Riddle match. You have to take the Matt Riddle moves and help him get over for a little while. There's not really a lot he can do to break out of this.
That's why he's worked so well in a tag team with one of the best vets in the industry. Like, that's why this has worked.
Mm-hmm.
That's why this has worked.
Because you can tell Matt's actually absorbing things.
Yeah.
And Randy's actually willing to teach
He's
things.
slowing him down, but he's letting him still be free in those instances.
Because I imagine there might have been, I'm not sure when, but maybe 1 or 2 times when they tag teamed somebody with Randy and Randy buried.
Yeah, there's that.
That tag partner in some way, shape, or form. I imagine that might have happened.
There is that.
Twice.
But yeah, Riddle gets his stuff in. Randy was great. He gets the RKO on fucking Roman Reigns. Roman goes to spear Randy. Randy drops him with the RKO. He eats a super kick and then still delivers an RKO out of nowhere. 2 count. This was beautiful. We all come back around. Like this thing went like there was so many instances here where this thing could have and should have ended. Like that should have been it. That should have
the
been
RKO
it.
into the. But at the same time, Tony, what's the last match Roman Reigns lost?
Roman don't lose. Roman don't lose.
Can you even name me the last match he lost? Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, one of them. That's the last one I could name off the top of my head.
God, I'd have to really think about
it. Yeah, that's where.
Since he came back,
was he in the Gauntlet match? I don't know. We'll have to look into that, folks. But yeah, Roman don't lose much these days, and so
should he?
Oh, hey, it's the guy that doesn't lose with all the belts. I think he's going to win.
There's that.
That was literally the amount of thought process.
That's why I went with this prediction. I'm like, anybody could pin one of the Usos, and it's not going to bury Roman. And that's how you build up the rematch for Drew versus Roman. But you know what? This is fine too. Doesn't matter. Nobody's hurt here. Nobody is hurt here because it's a 6-man tag. Roman gets a spear. It's 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns gets the win, as he should if you're not going to pin one of the Usos. Because really, that's the only option you have. Pin an Uso or Roman pins who the fuck ever. That's it. Those are your two options in the 6-man tag.
Yeah, Roman had to walk away with the W here. I knew that was how it had to end. Now, whenever the Usos climbed the top rope, I was thinking, Randy's going to hurt you very badly with an RKO. But
unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and give this 4.35. I really enjoyed this match.
I'll give it 3.8. I loved it.
Not as entertained.
Not nearly. No, the second half.
I think this was match of the night easily.
Nah, I'd still go with Cody Seth. It was a traditional match, and I'm a traditional.
Yes, it was the best wrestling.
We're talking about a trio.
It was the best wrestling match of the night, but this was a sports entertainment show, Tony.
Tag.
And it was marvelously sports entertained.
6-man tag trios match. It's not going to be. This is not an instant classic.
Well, you're not sports entertained.
Which one's going to be more? Which one are you going to talk about?
I think I just made Vince McMahon's next T-shirt.
Stop it. Look, it's a fucking 6-man tag trios match. This is not going to be an instant classic. All right. So, yes, while it was entertaining, the second half was great. Not an instant classic. So I'll go 3.8. Chicken, what do you give it? That's right. Loser!
Oh, that's.
Love you.
Ouch. You know, I think there might have been a little bit of sarcasm.
I do love him. I do. He's just not the champ no more.
Tony's just really, really happy about
I
that.
really am. Because my 2021 was pretty bleak holding this bad boy. So actually, really, my 2020 was as well. God. Ugh. I'm going to try to hold on to this bitch as long as I can. We got AEW Double or Nothing coming up next, though.
Oh, Lord almighty. So, folks, that's going to be probably where I recapture the title because I do well at AEW.
I think I've done pretty goddamn well at the last couple. So don't you go putting the cart before the horse there.
Well, we've got a new champion, but you got to try to, much like Charlotte Flair, you're trying to catch up to Ric Flair as quickly. So, you know, you'll have to drop and win the title a few more times this year.
I've always been about quality over quantity. I know
you want the lengthy Roman Reigns title reign, but I'm afraid.
Look, folks, there's a reason Tony G is a 12-time champ. Not only have I had the most reigns, but I've also had the longest reign, and I've also had the shortest reign. And let's be frank, I've had the most quality reigns. So, that being said, this is going to be my year. All right, 2022.
And you also know a lot about the reign in Spain. With pain and gain.
Yin yang.
Yes, folks. So if you're talking about
is Scott Lang.
Hey! So, Tony, this was WrestleMania.
Stop
Backlash.
it. It's just Backlash.
It's Backlash.
It's just Backlash.
But over enough time.
Yeah, 4 matches were rematches from WrestleMania.
But no, Tony is pointing out, this is the 5th event this year labeled WrestleMania, and we're still in the M months.
Yep.
Because there was WrestleMania Raw, WrestleMania SmackDown, 2 nights of WrestleMania Backlash. So,
do you think we're gonna have WrestleMania Backlash Raw tomorrow night? Can't wait to see it.
God damn it! Stop it. WrestleMania Backlash. Like, you think they might be prostituting the WrestleMania name a bit?
Yeah, we have really sullied the name of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Resquiesce in pace. Folks, good Lord Almighty.
Indeed.
As I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining us for this very special edition of WrestleMania Backlash, but also, this is Mother's Day. Hi, Mom. Happy Mother's Day. God bless every last one of you. I hope every last one of you makes it back here happy, healthy, much the wiser, folks. I hope you raise a glass to yourselves of whatever it is you're drinking. And I hope we can't wait to see you back here, folks, for AEW Double or Nothing. I am your King of Extreme, Phil KOE. You can find me at KOE Nation on YouTube, KOE Nation on Twitch, KOE Nation on TikTok, folks. These are all the incredible places that you can get your KOE content. And I am signing off on this Revolutionary Wrestling podcast and handing it off to the new reigning, defending, 12-time Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion, the one, the only,
Tony fucking G. Like, share, and subscribe. We and I will see you very soon for AEW Double or Nothing.
God bless you, folks.
And see if it just smooths itself out.
Back, tell you what I'll do. If I ever get back, I promise to refabricate you, raging rivers of gold. That's what the brochure advertised. And now we're lost